Let me read to you a passage from the 24th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 37 to 44. It's the Gospel for the first Sunday of Advent, year A. St. Matthew writes, Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also when the Son of Man comes. In the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, right up till the day Noah entered the ark. They did not know till the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then two shall be in the field, one will be taken and the other one will be left. Two women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, because you do not know at what hour your Lord will come. But know this, that if the master of the house knew at what hour the thief would come, he would certainly watch and would not allow his house to be broken open. So you also be ready, because you do not know at what hour the Son of Man will come." That's from Matthew chapter 24, verses 37 to 44. It speaks to us of the judgment that is coming. And in particular, I would suggest the particular judgment. What do I mean? Let me begin this way. Occasionally we read of intellectual prodigies who attain brilliant grades in their disciplines and at an early age. I remember reading of an Australian mathematician who won great honours while still in his teens and who went on to gain a prestigious professorship when early into his adulthood. I know of another Australian who gained a professorship in philosophy in one of the renowned universities of the world, a man whose philosophy was, from a religious perspective, anything but satisfactory. However, whatever be the intellectual attainments of this or that person, no one would consider intellectual brilliance as in any way necessary. If a person is of average intellect, well, so be it. That person may do well in life, and indeed very well, much better in certain respects, such as, say, his marriage or in general happiness, than perhaps the brilliant scholar, doctor or professional. However, there is one aspect of human awareness and knowledge that is absolutely necessary for everyone, and it is reflected in ordinary civil law. If a person is charged with some crime, it is not generally to the point to ask if that person is brilliant or ordinary in personal intelligence. What is to the point is if it is asserted of that person that he did not know the difference between right and wrong. If it is demonstrated that a person does not know the difference between right and wrong, whatever be his intelligence in other respects, then that person is judged to be singularly deficient in the most important area of human awareness. He will be acquitted of personal responsibility for the crime and committed to special care. As a human being, he is seriously incapacitated and dangerous, indeed even more so if his intellectual ability in other respects is considerable. What I am saying is that the conscience of man is the most important feature of his intellectual capacity. If his conscience is sound and highly developed, his intellectual powers, whether moderate or great, will serve for good. Now, an obvious feature of the conscience is its sense of a judgment on him and on his actions. That is to say, the person with a lively conscience has a lively sense of being judged for the goodness or evil of what he does, and this means for his own goodness or evil. He is aware of a judgment on that. Granted the fallen character of man, generally a sound conscience will be a somewhat guilty one, though not entirely. But the point I am making is that my guilty conscience suggests to me that I am being judged now and will be judged in the future. In this sense, if I have a lively and sound conscience, I shall be led to expect, however vaguely, a future judgment very particular to me. Cardinal Newman made a famous remark about this very personal phenomenon, in his classic Letter to the Duke of Norfolk, February 1875. Conscience, he said, was, and I quote, the aboriginal vicar of Christ. You know, it had long been a dictum in English Protestant thought that nature is the voice of God. Butler states this in his master work, The Analogy of Religion, 1736. Newman identifies that feature of the mind of man which represents most of all the voice of God, and in particular the voice of Christ. It is the conscience. It is the natural, most natural vicar of Christ, he said, the aboriginal vicar of Christ. As the Second Vatican Council would teach, in his conscience, man, and I quote, is alone with God, whose voice echoes in his depths. And as the Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches, when he listens to his conscience, the prudent man can hear God speaking. Number 1777. The point here, though, that I'm making is that we have a natural sense of a judgment, God's judgment, on our actions, and therefore on ourselves. Now all this is confirmed by Christ in his teaching, but is made far more certain and explicit by it. The parable of the poor man Lazarus, and the words of Christ on the cross to the good thief, as well as other New Testament texts, speak of a final destiny of the soul, determined by the judgment of God on his life and deeds. Each of us receives our eternal retribution at the moment of death in a particular judgment that refers our whole life to Jesus Christ. Following death, we each face God's judgment. This will result in the eternal bliss of heaven, either following a purification or immediately, or everlasting damnation. Let our conscience and Christ's teaching guide us. There is a beautiful prayer that is commonly said following each decade of the Rosary. It is this: O my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell, and bring all souls to heaven, especially those most in need of thy mercy. Repeatedly, Christ refers to the judgment of God, indicating that he means us to keep it in mind throughout life. It is the greatest thing that we must face, and all that we think, say and do will come before its examination. The books will be opened, and all will receive their just due. Let us not forget the particular judgment